This should be an age of growth and prosperity for rugby league in the United States of America. The NRL's Glamour Club, the Sydney Roosters, have invested a fairly pretty penny to support the United States Association of Rugby League, or USARL, which oversees domestic competitions and national efforts. Beyond that, the NRL season opening exploits in Las Vegas provide those running league in the US of A with a massive foundation which should be built upon. Meanwhile, over in the world of rugby union, Major League Rugby here stateside has provided a template for which those in the USARL should look to emulate. Ingredients are there to make something special. However, if you do not have a good or even competent chef, it doesn't really matter. You still produce a crab sandwich. And boy, oh boy, does the USARL know how to make itself a crab sandwich. For the second year in a row, the USARL Championship game, the game to determine the best rugby league team here in the States, has been made a mockery of. This season saw the title handed to DC Cavalry after some Hulk Hogan Vince Russo Bash at the Beach 2000 level fuckery. And at least that was on pay-per-view. The USARL Champion may as well have been the proverbial tree in the forest with no one around to hear it. Long story short, the Provo Broncos were withdrawn from the title decider due to issues with domestic player registration. The USARL claims there were rules in place regarding how many non-domestic players could be included in a lineup. The Utah Rugby League Association claimed there was no real guidance in place as it related to player eligibility, leading to some discrepancy between the two organizations. Here's the deal. It does not even matter who is right or wrong here. This should have been handled at the start of the season. It should have been handled before the regional championship games were played. It should have never gotten to the week of the championship game before someone stepped in and said, hey, there might be a problem here. There is no two ways around this. A lack of a championship game and simply crowning the other team involved as the winner is an amateur look for an organization desperately seeking some sort of mainstream appeal, something to hang its hat on. Worst of all, the same thing basically played out in 2023. I kid you not. The only difference is that the Provo Broncos were stripped of the Pacific Coast Rugby League title last year, and the loser of that game, the Santa Rosa Dead Pelicans, went to the championship in their place. So technically, a championship game was played, but just, again, a whole lot of unnecessary shenanigans went down around it. I guess we should be thankful that a title game was still played, although it's not a great look when the team that lost the regional final went on to win the national championship. Still, shout out Santa Rosa. And you know what? Shout out to all the players and coaches playing league from sea to shining sea. I have nothing but respect because I know you participate for your love of rugby league in America. Those running your sport, however, seem hell-bent on trying to anchor it and watching it sink to the bottom of the sports ocean. Gilligan would be a more competent leader by comparison. What really sticks in my craw is just how this bloated, rotting corpse of American Rugby League acts. Instead of having domestic competitions being operated with swiftness and agility like a startup looking to grow, the USARL manages these directly, and manage is probably a generous way to describe it. Then again, this isn't just a domestic competition issue. The problem is that rugby league in America operates in a manner befitting some old-timey British men's club. Its annual general meetings and committees and an overly convoluted setup that guarantees failure because too many people are involved. It's all a bureaucracy with none of the clout. Look, that type of setup can work if you're big and you're successful. Neither of those, though, can be used to describe rugby league in America. All this modus operandi is doing is dragging down the domestic league and rugby league as a whole stateside. It's not like having this huge monolithic body is doing anyone any favors. In May, former Sydney Roosters and Parramatta Eels CEO Bernie Gurr was appointed to the USARL Board of Directors and also named treasurer. A solid move. Less than 2 months later, after seeing the lay of the land firsthand, he peaced out. That appointment was one of many changes that International Rugby League told the USARL to make as part of a farcically long review process into league stateside. It's still not entirely clear what IRL requirements that the USARL has still failed to meet, but the answer is at the very least some, and more likely a lot. Also, you know what? Since I'm here, let's talk about the god-awful U.S. Association of Rugby League logo. What is this? Who thought this was a good idea? It's like someone put together a pair of Klingon bathlets. Side note, that may be the incorrect pronunciation. I have no idea how pluralization works in Klingon. Anyway, someone just put two of those Klingon weapons together, dropped the American flag over it, and selected create clipping mask. That's the USARL logo, and it is a joke. I know, back to the point of this video, rugby league in America is in trouble. Not that it was ever particularly successful in the first place, but now is the time in which the sport could be growing, could be something more than a rec league that hosts its games at elementary schools. Unfortunately, this golden opportunity is being squandered by a body that seems more interested in procedural meetings than progress. They would rather appoint a board to oversee a board that monitors activity than do something. The failings of the Domestic League Championship game for the second year in a row is proof of that. I want rugby league to be a thing here in America. There's no reason why the sport cannot at least get to the level MRL is at currently. Fun games, exposure, a sense of purpose. We'll never be the Super League or the NRL, but there is no reason to think that the USA couldn't be home to the world's third best rugby league competition. With how much money continues to be poured into sports leagues over here, that should be the goal. It's a realistic goal. Well, it's realistic if you have people who know what they're doing steering the ship. Look, I'm not going to say everyone holding positions within the various rugby league bodies of America doesn't want to see the sport succeed, but what has happened over the past few years has failed. It's time to reset everything. And to that, I say Peter V'landys, Andrew Ebdo, come be the knight in shining armor for rugby league in America. You want to have the NRL season opener in Vegas. You want to potentially host the Rugby League World Cup here in the States. Well, that means you got to invest in American Rugby League, not some token $500,000 from the Roosters. Real investment. Build the foundation, put the right people in place, and give it a proper go. Don't go over the top with it, mind you. 6 teams playing over the course of 2 months is more than enough as it stands today. Have the NRL and Super League loan over players on the fringes of reserve grade and just in need of opportunities along with the best American talent. The season starts at the Rugby League Festival in Vegas. This is not the perfect plan, and it will lose money. It'll probably lose money for years. Maybe it's never even profitable. Well, what's the alternative? That there is no rugby league in America? Well, we're already heading down that path with the current incarnation focused on aimlessness and governance for the sake of governance. Losing money year after year may not be viable, but neither is that setup either. At the end of the day, I really want to see rugby league survive and thrive in America, but that is impossible as is. I mean, hell, we can't even get a domestic league championship game without some bureaucratic nonsense marring everything. Imagine the NRL not playing the grand final because the Panthers had some player registration issues that should have been worked out months previously. Preposterous. Will it happen? Who knows? But I certainly hope some positives can eventually emerge as it relates to rugby league here in the US of A. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to know a little bit more on why I'm not exactly convinced the expansion of Vegas's opening rugby league festival plans is going to work, check out the video in the upper right hand corner of your screen. And to understand why the Manly Seagulls just may be the most Jekyll and Hyde franchise in all of rugby league, video lower left hand corner. Until next time, I'm Shane Hollis. This is the Touchback, and as always, hashtag take it out to the 25.